Okay, so in this second video, we're going to just take a look at getting started with the GGIR shell file. So we're presuming that RStudio's open, like we've got on the screen, and the first thing that we would like to do really is to tell RStudio, or tell R in effect, which is working, doing all the work behind RStudio, that we want to open all of these packages which I've already installed on my system. So I'm going to highlight them all. I'm going to click Run, and you'll see here in the console it's all being installed, and that's happened nice and quickly. So just to verify that, if we go to Packages here, you'll now see that all of those packages that we've indicated, I've got a tick next to them, but we've done that really in a couple of seconds rather than going through that list and maybe run the risk of missing something out. So the next thing we'll look at is the first part of the shell function. Now, one thing to notice here is that the text in black font are the arguments specified in GGIR. We don't want to change those. The blue font are arguments that we can self-define as users, and we can change those depending on what we want to do and what our needs are. And then where there's green with a hashtag, that's like a little note or an explanation of what's going on or what we need to do. And I've put those in much of this shell script, but certainly not for all of it. Obviously, you've got the manual for GGIR from the CRAN website, which gives a much more detailed explanation of what all of these arguments mean and indeed what the output means. So what I'm going to focus on here is the first part of the shell function, and it says data directory and output directory. Also says study name as well. So I'm going to focus on these because these probably are the two areas where most new users of GGIR, and I've been certainly been guilty of this loads in the past, maybe don't get this quite right, and that means that there's an error message before any processing even gets done. So what these two lines are telling GGIR is data directory is where the raw accelerometer data is held, okay, and output directory is where the output from the processing is going to reside. So it's important that these are correct and accurate, and there's no typing errors, and they actually reflect the parts of our system that we want to point to GGIR to. Now, in the previous video, I set the working directory, and so what I'm going to do, because this is where our data is going to be residing, I'm going to copy that, put that in there, and the folder where the raw data is called test. Okay, now you notice some red crosses appeared in the margin there. That's telling us that, oh, something's gone wrong there in the line of code, you need to fix it. And the reason here is that I should have a comma after the end of the instruction. When I put the comma in, that little red cross disappears. And I need to tell GGIR where I want the output from the processing to go. So I've got a folder here, I'm going to call it output. Study name I'm going to leave as test because that corresponds with the data directory, and this is quite important when we're just trying to process files using the milestone data, because we want to really make sure that that milestone data refers to where the original output was obtained from. So I'm just going to flick into Finder, and you can see what this actually looks like. So this is a portable hard drive. This is our folder that we've referred to here, GGIR demo. A little bit. So if I open that, so we've got max store 1 terabyte GGI demo /test. Okay, so if I open that, this is where we would put our raw data file. So this is a raw data file, 7-day accelerometer file obtained from an actigraph device, converted to a CSV. So that's where GGIO will look for those raw files. And I've told it to put the output in this output folder, which presently is empty. This is just a shell file that we opened up earlier, which we're using now. So you can see that that has to correspond exactly to that, and vice versa. And you'll also see, if we go back down to files, that what I've just showed you is replicated here as well, because we've set this folder as the working directory. Okay, so it's really important to get all that set up. What f equals 1, f1 equals 1, this just denotes how many files you want GGIO to process. You can leave this empty. I've just put it in as 1 because we've only got one file, but it could be any number that you specify, and it will keep going until it reaches that limit. So there are some other functions here which I won't go into much detail about really, other than to say do.imp equals true. So by default, when we set to true, GGIO will impute any missing windows of data with data from other times of the day, from other parts of the week where the data is present, and it will do an imputation calculation. So if you want to, that's the default recommended setting to keep that as true, but you could turn that off so there's no imputation going on whatsoever. Okay, so I want to leave this video here for now before we get on to the next one.